Recently, Jagex has been cracking down on botting, and it looks like it's made an impact, with black market gold prices going up and in-game bond prices going down. However, that's just on the members side of things. Free-to-play is an entirely different story. A few months ago, free-to-play typically averaged around 300 to 400 players per world, most of which were bots. Now, the player count of every world has essentially doubled, and if you log into one of these worlds, you'll see that the difference is entirely made up of bots. Walking around a free-to-play world, you'll find bots absolutely everywhere, chopping every different type of tree, killing various different NPCs, even picking onions and cabbages, which are practically worthless. So why the sudden influx of free-to-play bots? With Jagex banning way more members bots than usual, botters are turning to free-to-play to try to continue making money. But why doesn't Jagex just ban the free-to-play bots too? They can't. Or rather, they are, but new bots are created so quickly it seems like none are getting banned at all. The method is called suicide botting. It uses large-scale bot farms with the expectation that all the bots will get banned within 1 or 2 days, but then the bots are immediately replaced with fresh accounts. Since each account only exists for a short period of time, suicide bots generally have to stick to low-level moneymakers. That's why they're usually seen in free-to-play, since the low-level moneymakers aren't profitable enough to cover the cost of membership. Suicide bots have been a problem in free-to-play for a long time, so much so that Jagex even added trade restrictions to new accounts. Free-to-play accounts can't trade items or gold to other players or sell certain items on the Grand Exchange until they've completed all 3 of the following requirements: 10 quest points, 100 total level, and 20 hours of playtime. However, these requirements can be easily botted. Goblin Diplomacy and Romeo and Juliet are 5 quest points each and only take a few minutes to complete. Any bot that's doing a skilling activity can easily reach 100 total level, and running the bot all day will automatically get it to the 20-hour mark. So what can we do to fight this problem? Before we get into that, I have a quick announcement to make. Channel memberships are now available. It's $3 a month, and you'll gain access to all my old stream VODs, as well as custom emotes to use in the comments, and you'll be supporting the future of bot busting content on this channel. Click the join button if you're interested, and in the meantime, let's get back to the video. As players, we only have a couple ways of fighting back against the bots. The first is to report them, but that's useless against suicide bots since the bot farm already accounts for the bots getting banned. The other way is to try to disrupt the bots in-game. Unfortunately, the vast majority of free-to-play bots operate in safe areas outside of the wilderness, so it's not possible to PK them. However, since the bots have low combat levels, they can still be attacked by aggressive NPCs. I tried dropping a trail of items to lure some bots over to the hobgoblins by the crafting guild, but they didn't fall for it. This trick might have worked 6 years ago, but these days the scripts are a lot smarter. So I can't bring the bots to the aggressive NPC, but I can bring the aggressive NPC to the bots. Introducing the Draenor Dark Wizard. This guy can be lured into the Draenor Bank, and he'll attack any player below 15 combat. Tons of low-level bots bank their items here, so the Dark Wizard can easily sit here for several minutes and rack up a bunch of kills. So naturally, I hopped through a bunch of free-to-play worlds and lured him into the bank to mess with the bots. Unfortunately, this is a PVM death, so the bots don't actually lose any of their items, so the only impact is wasting a bit of their time as they respawn in Lumbridge and have to run back. But it is possible to disrupt these bots in a way that is much more meaningful. Mass botting in free-to-play may seem unstoppable, but these bot farms do have a weakness: mules. A mule is an account that does not partake in any gold farming, but instead takes all the gold from the bots and holds on to it until it's ready to sell. Mules are hard to find since they spend most of the time logged out, but they still have to log in to collect the gold from the bots, which gives us a chance to strike. Most of the bots complete the requirements to remove the trade restrictions, and then they mule their gold by simply trading at a bank. There's not really anything we can do to disrupt this process, so the best thing we can do here is report the mules and hope they get banned before they're able to sell off the gold. But standing around and reporting accounts isn't very fun, so let's take a look at a different type of muling operation. Some bot farms get around the trade restrictions by using PvP mechanics in the wilderness. This tactic is referred to as tournament muling, in which all the bots pair up and one bot kills the other and takes its gold. Then they repeat the process until all the gold is consolidated down to one account and transferred over to the mule. These tournament mules aren't new. They were exposed in multiple videos late last year, and I even managed to break their script and steal over 120 mil. Afterwards, they disappeared completely for a while, but now they're back. This time, the script is a lot smarter, and I can't steal their gold the same way I did before. But of course, I'm still gonna try. These bots PK each other in the first tile of wilderness, so as soon as they detect a threat, they can simply walk one tile south and be completely safe. However, if a bot gets a kill, it will still step into the wilderness to pick up the loot. If I time it correctly, sometimes the bot will take long enough to pick up the loot that the PJ timer runs out and I'm able to attack it. For some reason, some of them have auto retaliate on, so I can attack the bot and run north to lure it further away from safety. However, eventually the bots just beeline to the ditch, and I'm only able to get them to around half health before this happens. However, I did run into one bot that behaved a little differently. I found it standing in the wilderness, but it wasn't in combat. When I attacked it, it auto-retaliated just like the others, but it took much longer to start running for the ditch, so I was actually able to get the kill. I must have caught it in a weird state where it failed to recognize my account as a threat. Unfortunately, the loot was only 140k, which shows that this bot farm is muling with much smaller amounts than they were previously, since last time the smallest amount I got was 1 mil. They're also muling multiple times per day. I was able to find them at noon, 8 p.m, and midnight Eastern Daylight Time, and they could potentially be muling at different times as well. I continued hunting these bots for several days, and I encountered a few more bots that didn't quite behave correctly. One bot I chanced before it ran into the safe zone, but I was unlucky and hit 2 zeros in a row. Another time I logged in and attacked a bot that was somehow on 1 HP but not in combat. It wasn't my loot, but the bot that got the kill credit just logged out instead of looting the kill. Once the loot appeared, I picked it up and secured 2.1 mil. The strategy that worked best for me was to log in during the window of time between the bots stepping into the wilderness and starting combat. They always stand there for a few seconds first, and I found that they don't always respond as quickly if I attack them during that time. The funniest kill I got was at the end of the muling operation when there were only a few bots left. I added the bots to my friends list on one of my scout accounts, and surprisingly they left private on, so I was able to follow them every time they hopped worlds. I kept this up for about 10 minutes until I finally managed to secure the last hit on one of the bots. After all that effort, the loot ended up being only 180k. The amount that us players can disrupt these muling operations is very limited, so at the end of the day, it's up to Jagex to solve this problem, which it seems like they have struggled with for quite a long time. Obviously, I don't know anything about how bot detection actually works, but I think the solution most likely lies with targeting the mules. Jagex needs to be able to automatically detect these muling operations as they're happening and flag the mule accounts during the short periods of time that they're logged in. The first step is to understand exactly how these muling operations work, and then hopefully they can add the ability to detect them to the bot detection system. Then the most important part is to make sure the mules get banned before they're able to sell off the gold. If the mules get banned with all the botted gold, then the botters won't have any gold to sell, which means they won't make any money and therefore will not have a reason to continue botting. I don't think this will permanently solve the free-to-play botting problem, since botters are always going to come up with new ways to avoid detection, but perhaps we could slow it down enough to go back to a more normal player count on the free-to-play worlds.